Le passé. So, le passé in French is composed of two primary tenses. One's called le passé composé and one's l'imparfait. First, let's focus on le passé composé. Now, you're going to use this form when you're talking about an event that can be counted, can be dated, or if it interrupts an ongoing action, or builds a story. Le passé composé is formed in these steps. You must first identify the verb, étudier, manger, faire, venir, aller, etc. Is the verb reflexive or one of the Van der Tramp verbs? If you answer yes, you're going to choose être as your auxiliary verb. If you answer no, meaning that the verb is neither reflexive nor a Van der Tramp, you will use avoir. So now that you know which auxiliary you need, you should conjugate it so that it agrees with the subject. And keep in mind that the auxiliary will precede the past participle and any negation will go around it. So your auxiliary, when you're will be conjugated like j'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont, when your auxiliary is avoir. And then when it is être, it will be conjugated as je suis, tu es, il est, elle est, nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont, elles sont. There will be a slight modification when you're working with a reflexive verb, and that's because there's a pronoun. So it would sound something like this. Je me suis, tu t'es, il s'est, elle s'est, nous nous sommes, vous vous êtes, ils se sont, elles se sont. And that was the auxiliary part, but you have to add what's called the past participle, and that goes right after the auxiliary. So you want to be on the lookout for irregular past participles. You're making that past participle from the verb you just recognized and you identified. So if that verb was avoir, for example, you would use the past participle eu, être, été, faire, fait, aller, allé, venir, venu, mettre, mis, prendre, pris, pouvoir, pu, devoir, dû, vouloir, voulu, and so on. Otherwise, if it's not an irregular past participle, you just make a change. So an ER verb like étudier becomes étudier with an E accent aigu. A verb like finir becomes fini with an I. And a verb like attendre becomes attendu with an U. Try these examples. Tu as fini tes devoirs. Ils se sont dépêchés. Vous êtes arrivé tard. Elle a étudié pour un examen. Nous avons rendu les livres. Je suis né le 23 mars. Okay, the other form is called the imparfait, and you will use this form when you're talking about something that gives background to a story, when you're talking about something that cannot be counted, or when you're talking about something that is interrupted by a different event. In order to form it, you must identify the present tense new form of the verb you are working with. And you remove the ONS. So if you notice that there is not an ONS, that means you are working with the verb être. It happens to be the only verb in the entire French vocabulary that does not end with ONS in the new form. So when you remove the ONS, you're finding what's called the stem. Use the stem E accent aigu T, for the verb être. And once you have the stem, you just add the appropriate imparfait ending to it. And the endings look like this. And they sound ion, ion, e. So if I was working with the verb regarder, I would find nous regardons, remove the ONS, which would leave me with g, a, d, and I would add these endings. Je regardais, tu regardais, il regardait, elle regardait, nous regardions, vous regardiez, il regardait, elle regardait. Try these examples. Tu finissais tes devoirs. Il se dépêchait. Sorry, that's not a question. Il se dépêchait. Vous arriviez quand il a commencé à pleuvoir. Elle étudiait pour un examen. Nous étions contents de la soirée.